So if you've been following this show, you know I just finished up the Creepshow series of films, which in terms of quality were good, okay, and what the hell is this shit and why is it called Creepshow? But what you might not know is that years before that thing that called itself Creepshow 3, we already got a Creepshow 3. Well, kind of. Tales from the Darkside is a 1990 anthology horror movie based off of the TV series of the same name. So why am I saying this is the real Creepshow 3? A few reasons. For starters, the TV show was created by Creepshow director George Romero and was originally intended to be a Creepshow series. However, because Warner Brothers owned certain trademarks related to Creepshow, it was decided the name of the series would be changed to Tales from the Darkside, and that the comic book elements from Creepshow would be downplayed. The series featured adaptations of stories by several famous authors, including Stephen King, who wrote the first Creepshow film and provided stories for the second, and the movie adaptation even features a segment based off of a Stephen King story with a script by George Romero. It also features producer Richard Rubinstein, who produced the first two Creepshow films, and was also directed by John Harrison, who did the music for the first movie. Tom Savini, who did effects for the first Creepshow, has even said that he considers Tales from the Darkside to be the real Creepshow 3. Okay, so even if it's not called Creepshow, we've still got several people who worked on the first two movies involved here, as opposed to this movie, which used the name as an excuse to string together some half-baked porn movie setups and rejected sitcom gags. It's also brought to us by a film company I've actually heard of, which probably increases the likelihood this is gonna get blocked, but oh well. And it's even got some people in it you might recognize. Look, it's Debbie Harry from Blondie. Yeah, this intro's trying to trick us into thinking she's all wholesome and sweet, but I happen to know that she's into some pretty kinky shit. I will give her credit though, she does know how to rock the hot grandma look. Oh, and she's also a witch who's holding a little boy prisoner so she can cook him in her oven. And that's our framing device. Gotta admit, it's a much more promising intro than that grade school Microsoft Paint assignment that opened Creepshow 3. Ah, damn it, who left a copy of the script in here?
When I was a little girl, this was my favorite book.
I also had the follow-up book, Monsters, but this one was better in my opinion. Debbie doesn't seem that bad, she's only trying to cook one of the Lawrence brothers. If only she had ate some of the Wayans brothers, she could have prevented white chicks from getting made. Little Timmy offers to read the witch some stories from the book in order to stall for time. He needs to make sure he makes it to that Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad audition. Holy shit, haven't thought about that show in a while. Does anybody else remember that but me? Anyone? Whatever. So the first story is Lot 249, which is adapted from a story by Sherlock Holmes creator Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Okay, bit of an unusual choice for this movie, although it already sounds scarier than a radio that gives out financial tips. What? Christian Slater? Okay, good to know JD turned his life around after trying to blow up his high school. These two are Andy and Lee, and I'm guessing their full names end in either the Third or Esquire. Lee got Andy's sister to write an essay for him in order to win a fellowship, which prevented another student, played by Steve Buscemi, from winning it.
Yeah, this is...
Lee, Mockton, right? Yeah, I saw your picture in our illustrious college newspaper this morning.
I heard you cheated me out of my fellowship. Congratulations. Oh, and if you're wondering what the title Lot 249 refers to, it's the name of an ancient Egyptian mummy Steve had delivered to his dorm room, probably because he didn't want to be the creepiest thing in this movie.
First thing the embalmers did was to stick a metal hook up his nose, and they dragged his brain out through his nostrils.
I don't know. I still think Steve Buscemi's got him beat. Alright, let's see what's in this thing.
Myrrh, cassia,
Onions.
Hey, as long as there's not also a hot dog in there, I'll be happy. And good news, fellas, this mummy comes with a prize.
What does it say?
I have no idea. Do you know how to read Third Kingdom hieroglyphics?
Look, just put it into Google Translate, I'm sure it'll be fine. Lee's also dating Andy's sister Susan, played by Julianne Moore, which combined with the tennis outfit kinda makes this seem like a Boogie Nights porn movie setup.
No, you don't care about those books or Andy. You're gonna go see Bellingham.
I give the guy a hard-on.
Shit, maybe it is a porn movie setup. And I don't know what she's gonna do with that thing.
Zuni fetish.
Hey, don't sweat it. I have done way too many weird movies on this show to be judging other people's fetishes. Okay, actually she stole this from the university and blamed it on Steve Buscemi, and I think he's a little upset about it.
O darkness, remove thyself from before him, eater of shadows, the eater of souls. Open his eyes. Open tat. Open nap. Open his eyes.
Oh shit, the heavy metal lyrics on that scroll woke up the mummy. Rather than be scared of him though, most of the students at the university are just gonna complain that his Halloween costume's inappropriate.
Did you see him?
Not really, but he did look a little bit weird.
Weird looking how? Oh, you know, just in a general kind of way. Here's one way this is a huge step up from Creepshow 3. Even though it's based off of a TV show, it still looks like a theatrical movie, with things like atmosphere, some creative camera shots, actually knowing how to build tension within a scene. Huh, and a decent jump scare. What's that? You're going to scrape my brain out with a hook? Well, I never. Listen, Susan, this is no big loss. His brain was mostly filled with tennis tips and memories of experimenting with his show horse anyway. Luckily for Steve, most of the people at the university think the mummy is just a really drunk frat pledge. However, Susan knows who killed Lee.
I saw who did it. He was thin and filthy and stinking.
Oh, and he was also a mummy. I probably should have just said that first. And listen, Susan, even though garlic works on vampires, I'm pretty sure flowers don't do shit to mummies. You know, for all the talk of fetishes in this movie, I think Julianne Moore might be into some freakier shit than I thought. No need to worry though, she's fine. She's just healing from her facelift. Well, that does it. Time to turn Mr. Pink into Mr. Black and Blue.
That's my master's thesis. What are you doing? Well, I'm going to start a little fire under your chair and roast your nuts.
It's also the part of the movie where Christian goes full Slater.
Remove thyself from him. Open tat, open nap, open his eyes.
Steve manages to wake up the mummy again, but luckily, Andy came prepared.
Need a hand up there, fella? Jesus.
A turkey carver. The mummy's one weakness? Man, too bad the mummy didn't start his killing spree on Thanksgiving. They could have taken him out a lot earlier. And he also destroys the scroll, although considering Steve seems to have memorized it, I'm not really sure what burning it's supposed to do. But even though Steve is responsible for murdering his best friend and sister, Andy just can't bring himself to kill such a talented character actor and lets him go. So here we have an example of a horror anthology story where justice still ends up getting served, even though the villain isn't killed at the end. Nah, I'm just kidding. That's not what happens.
I was just thinking of this guy I know. Couldn't distinguish a 3rd Dynasty sacred scroll from a piece of post-Alexandrine pictogram porn.
Andy? Bellingham sends his regards.
Just grab a barbecue lighter or something. You'll probably be able to take him. Back in the framing story, looks like Debbie Harry's preparing to make some Lawrence loaf. Better tell her another story, kid.
Time to put the book away.
But I hadn't told you the best story yet. I had to stop reading it twice because it got me so scared.
Well, okay, but this story better not be about a remote control that turns a chick into a rabbit for some stupid reason. The next segment is called Cat from Hell, which is not only based off of a Stephen King story, but was actually supposed to be a segment in Creepshow 2 that was cut for budgetary reasons. Well, nice that we got another Stephen King story here. And considering Stephen King also wrote the movie Sleepwalkers, even if it's bad, it'll at least be hilariously bad. This story is about a rich old man named Drogon who hires a hitman, and when you need somebody killed, you hire Buster Poindexter. And just who does the old man want him to kill?
Your victim is right behind you.
Alright, to perform this job, I'm gonna need some catnip and some dark chocolate. Or, you know, I could just put him outside and tell the cab driver to run him over. Okay, as ridiculous as the premise may seem, this introduction still contains more atmosphere than all of Creepshow 3. So why is he hiring a hitman to kill a cat?
That cat has killed 3 people in this household.
Okay, so it got under their feet when they were going down the stairs. Just give it to the Humane Society and be done with it. Drogon is the head of a large pharmaceutical company, and he seems to have never heard the phrase, "don't get high on your own supply."
And the cornerstone of our financial success has always been others. Try Dalmo.
I've read all about it, Drogon. That stuff's one step up from street junk.
Ah, come on, man. It's a prescription drug. It is way more powerful than anything your local street dealer's selling. Drogon tells the hitman about how the cat suddenly showed up at his mansion and started killing the occupants, and these flashback sequences actually come closer to emulating the style of the first Creepshow than any of the sequels did. I keep expecting a zombie to burst in with one of their heads made into a cake. Oh, and I wasn't joking about the cat killing people by getting under their feet and making them fall down the stairs. I don't think the cat's evil, these people are just clumsy. Okay, the cat also kills people in other ways too. Alright, admittedly that part was a little silly. Still better than anything in Creepshow 3, though. The cat kills the last guy by attacking him while he's driving and causing him to crash, but in the cat's defense, this guy was taking him to get neutered, so I get it.
The day Dick Gage was buried, the cat came back.
The very next day, they said he was a goner, but the cat came back. We learn that a possible reason for all this is that Drogon's company killed thousands of cats testing out its new drug. Damn, good thing you didn't use rabbits, or this segment could be even more adorably terrifying.
So how many did you eliminate?
Over 4 years of testing, 5,000 cats.
Shit, a cat scare in a horror movie that was actually decent. You can tell George Romero wrote this segment because the cat sees in Night of the Living Dead vision. The old man leaves so the hitman can kill the cat, but first things first, time to get drunk.
Look at this shit. Hey, cat! For me, it's nothing but the best.
Okay, don't flatter yourself, pal. I mean, you were in Mr. Nanny. And you might want to concentrate on killing the cat.
Hey, you little motherfucker! Nobody hits me twice! Can't get hot. Can't let yourself get hot.
Hey, that's not what your hit song said. This needle actually isn't for the cat. David Johansen's just preparing for that New York Dolls reunion tour. I think he might have some trouble catching him. The cat seems to be possessed by the ghost of a Steadicam.
I've never blown a hit yet. It's just a matter of time.
It's so cute and fuzzy. Get it away from me. Well, that does it. No more playing around. Time to kill this cat with his new laser-guided paintball gun.
This is the end of you. It's impossible. Fucking impossible. I had a dead beat on you.
Don't worry. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the real cat sitting there anyway. This segment is usually the one people remember the most from this movie, mainly for the way it ends. So, you want to know how the cat kills the hitman? That's right. He forces him to eat pussy. Damn it didn't work. Maybe I should have just gotten a pit bull or something. Oh, and the cat ain't done yet. This is for Fluffy and Mittens, motherfucker. You know what? I'm not gonna blame the cat for that one. Given how many pills that guy was taking, his heart was gonna explode sooner or later. Damn, Debbie Harry's still gonna cook this kid even after 2 stories? She really does have a heart of glass. Better read her another one, quick. So the last segment of the movie is called Lover's Vow, which stars James Remar as an artist named Preston. However, despite his best efforts, Preston's Popsicle House projects never live up to his artistic vision. He also gets a call from his agent, played by Robert Klein. He is gonna be really disappointed when he finds out he got replaced as Corporal Hicks in Aliens. Oh, and he has some other bad news.
Judith says she hasn't moved anything of yours in over 4 months. Preston, your artistic vision is just not a marketable commodity.
Wyatt, I'm broke. I can't live on nothing.
And I can't live on 10% of nothing.
You're a monster.
No offense, but if your artwork isn't making him any money, from his standpoint, he's really just making a smart business move here.
Fuck you! Jesus, what am I supposed to do now?
Well, we need somebody to clean the glasses. You could do that. Uh-oh, looks like Preston drank until closing time. Now we'll have to cut through the alleyway where Batman's parents were killed. Speaking of which, I don't think this guy's gonna make it out of here either.
Oh my God.
Help me! Help me!
Decapitation! Huh, 4 movies into the Creepshow-a-thon and I finally get to use that sound effect.
Jesus!
Hey, come on, Preston, don't look so scared. This gargoyle's one of the best effects in the movie.
If I let you go, you must swear you will never say you saw me.
Well, you know, even if I did tell people, they probably wouldn't believe me. Okay, I promise I won't tell anyone. Okay, you just witnessed a murder, but that doesn't mean you can't also terrify some random person.
Let go of me.
What's the matter with you? It's dangerous down here. What are you trying to do?
I don't think you're making her feel safer, pal.
What are you trying to do?
Take a taxi.
You can use the phone from my place. You can call from my place.
Sure, follow the random guy who grabbed you and pinned you up against a wall back to his apartment. What's the worst that could happen?
So what were you doing out this late?
I was having an argument. My agent dumped me tonight.
Apparently he thinks I'm supposed to make him money in exchange for his work so he can pay his bills. Pfft, what an asshole, huh? This is Carola, played by Radon Chong, and luckily for Preston, she has a thing for character actors with scratch marks.
Say, did you try that taxi again? Maybe you should wait till morning.
Alright, aside from the whole gargoyle thing, not a bad night for me. Congrats, Preston, I think you just creepied your way into a relationship.
It was a nightmare. Oh, no, Carola, not you. It was everything else until I ran into you. That part was good.
And you were mediocre, but it's alright, you were drunk. Oh right, there was still a murder. Just tell the cops a leprechaun did it. You'll be fine. Inspired by his attack, Preston then pitched an animated series to Disney. Not only that, but Carola even gets Preston's art shown at a swanky gallery. Turns out the art world loves looking at a psychopath's junk collection. And she has some other news for him.
Will you take care of me and my child?
Your child?
Hey, you didn't tell me you had a kid, and oh, wait a minute, I get it. You know, despite the horror-related beginning, a lot of this segment concentrates on seeing Preston and Carola's relationship develop. They end up getting married, and the story even flashes ahead 10 years where they're still happy together and have 2 kids. Wow, imagine that. An anthology story where I actually care about the characters, as opposed to Creepshow 3 where I couldn't wait for him to get off the screen. Hey, they even managed to bring Robert Klein back.
Is there some party tonight that I'm missing?
Preston and I are celebrating the 10th anniversary of the night we first met.
You mean when you thought he was gonna push you up against the wall and rape you?
My parents met the same way. But even though Preston's life seems great, he's still tortured by his secret and decides to tell Carola about the gargoyle.
That's what killed Jer. I knew I was gonna die, but it spoke. It said to me it wouldn't kill me if I promised never to tell anybody what had happened, what I'd seen.
And then why are you telling me?
Because you're the most important thing in my life.
She never asked you about this, and it seems like not telling her hasn't negatively affected your life or your relationship in any way. I kind of think you could have just kept this to yourself. Great, now Carola's realizing she married a crazy person. Okay, actually her real reaction is a lot worse.
You promised you'd never tell!
Oh, God.
Again, don't look so scared, Preston. These are some of the best effects in the movie. Alright, sweetie, so you're a gargoyle. We can still make this work. I mean, the kids will probably have to be homeschooled now, but that's okay.
I loved you.
And I loved you too. She broke your vow.
And the moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, is that 100% honesty is not good for a successful relationship. Back in the framing story, looks like the kid's time is up. Debbie Harry wants to cook herself some baby back ribs.
I saved the really best story for now. It's the really best one of all because it has a happy ending.
None of the stories in that book have a happy ending.
You're thinking of Tales from the Massage Parlor, kid. Fortunately for Matthew Lawrence, back in 1990, Home Alone-style gags could get a kid out of any situation. Instead of reading Tales from the Darkside, Debbie Harry should have read Hansel and Gretel. Maybe then she would have known how this was gonna end.
Don't you just love happy endings?
Yes, I do, Matthew, because it means I get to end my Creepshow-a-thon with a decent movie instead of that horseshit that just bought the name. So, did this movie earn the right to be known as the real Creepshow 3? Sort of. I mean, it doesn't have the comic book style or tone that the first two movies had, and it also lacks a lot of the humor that made the first movie so enjoyable, but the stories do share the same gruesome twist endings those movies had, the main difference being that here it's usually good characters who end up getting killed at the end. It's also arguably the most well-made film since the first Creepshow, with some nice effects, cinematography, and even performances in it. It may not be as inventive or fun as the first Creepshow, but it's still a solid horror anthology, and on the whole, it's much more worthy of the Creepshow name than this thing is. So that's the end of my Creepshow-a-thon. If you're wondering how I personally rank the movies from best to worst, it goes Creepshow, Tales from the Darkside, Creepshow 2, and you know what? I'm not even counting that third Creepshow movie, so fuck it. Now that I'm done with the Creepshow movies, I can get back to my more normal stuff, like some sexploitation movies, some 50s monster movies, Hong Kong fantasy, as well as the return of a certain Japanese giant monster. Well, that's all for now. Until next time.
I'm an agent. For an agent, being a monster is just credentials.